When it comes to taking care of succulents, improper watering is a real quick killer. So one of the best things that we can do is make sure that we are watering our succulents properly. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to help you master your watering game. Welcome back to Mind the Leaves. The first and most important tip when it comes to watering succulents is to wait until the soil is 100% completely dry before you water it again. And the reason for this is because succulents hold a lot of water in their leaves. That's what makes them a succulent. So they really don't need a whole lot in their soil. So using the soak-dry method is the best way to go. Go ahead and give your plant a really good thorough soaking and quench its thirst, but then allow the soil to completely dry out before you water it again. If you don't allow the soil to completely dry out, you're likely to see what we call root rot. Root rot occurs when there's too much water hanging out around the roots, which is not allowing the roots to access any oxygen. It causes the roots to turn mushy and start to die back. And if it gets bad enough, it can actually kill your entire plant. So if you're ever unsure if it's dry enough to water it yet, just wait. It is always better to wait. Sure, you might see one shriveled up leaf, but that is always better than getting root rot. Speaking of succulent leaves, learn to read your plant and what it's telling you. If you're seeing dry, shriveled up leaves at the bottom, it means that it probably wants more water than you're regularly giving it, or at least more frequent waterings. And if you're seeing translucent, squishy, kind of yellowish leaves, that's probably overwatering. To help your succulent, make sure that you have drainage holes at the bottom of your pots, even if you keep them in nice little cache pose. You really don't want excess water hanging around the roots, causing that root rot, so make sure that you have a drainage hole. Now, as a generality, I would say that most succulents really aren't that picky about the type of water that you use. For most of my succulents, tap water works great. With a few of them though, especially with the Crassula's Jade plants, I do notice little white deposits on their leaves start to form if I'm using any sort of hard water. So for those, I really do like to use rain or filtered water, but I would say for most of them across the board, any kind of water is fine. Definitely a good idea to just use room temperature water when you're watering your plants. Don't use anything too hot or too cold. That could shock them and cause damage. Another great tip is to water your succulents in the morning if you can. That way, if any excess moisture ends up on your leaves, it can just evaporate throughout the day, rather than watering them in the evening where it's going to take much longer for that to evaporate. The first method that I like to use is simply to top water with a watering can. I have this plant in a cache pone not only to catch any excess water, but also to allow the plant some time to soak up the water that it needs. So after a few minutes of allowing the plant to soak up the water, I'll take the pot out, empty the excess water, and put him back in the cache pot. And there we go, he's done. Boom. If you don't have a cache pot, that's totally fine. I just use a tray in those cases, like for this Aloe Metriformis here, and I will just allow the water to go through and cool in the tray, once again giving the plant some time to soak up the water that it wants. And then because I don't have a cache pot and I really don't want it to just drip everywhere, I just use a cloth to tap the bottom just to get rid of any excess water. Now what if you have something like this here, where you really don't have a good spot to get in there with your watering can? In these cases, I absolutely love to use something like this. These squeeze bottles are amazing for tricky spots or just your delicate plants. They are inexpensive and easy to find. You can just get right under there with your squeeze bottle and it makes it so easy. I absolutely love this trick and I highly recommend it. If you're finding this video helpful, please go ahead and plant your finger on that like button. But what if you have something like this here, where the leaves are completely blocking you from getting in there with anything, including a squeeze bottle? This guy too. In these cases, there is a very simple solution. We're just going to fill up a tray with some water and we're going to bottom water this guy, which means that we're just going to place him in the water and allow him to soak up the water that he wants from bottom to top. After a few minutes, you can see that the root ball is completely saturated. Now all we have to do is give him a little wipe with our cloth and he's done. So there you go, everything you need to know to help you water like a pro. I really hope you found this video helpful. My name is Sam, this is Mind the Leaves, and as always, we're urging you to take care of your plants and yourself.